Classroom, and we're calling this session 2. And the rules of the training course are as per usual. We would like that everyone please mute your microphone, and then also just make sure that you've got your video off so that we don't see anything that's happening in the background. So currently speaking is today's facilitator, Umatapelo Tibe, and I am going to be hosting the session with my colleague, Uhlengi Wemfeka. And our training session for today is going to be split into 2 parts, or rather 3 parts. The first session will be a quick recap of what we were doing previously, and then we'll be having demo sessions in between. And the last bit will be focusing on one of the questions that was asked during the last session about domain registrations. So we're going to now to be looking at the actual workshop agenda. And like I was saying, we're going to look at the classroom recap. We're going to do a demo session of Classwork and Mark. So you'll notice that this is a zoom on 2 of the tabs that we spoke about in the previous session. We'll do a domain registration and school account registration quickly, and then we'll hopefully have a question and answer session right at the tail end of the of today's session. Right. So during last, or rather the previous session, we noted that Google Classroom actually is built on 3 main applications. And the very first of these applications will be the Google Classroom interface. So where are we doing all this work? The second part of it is the calendar. So whilst we're doing all this work, we know that we're creating assignments, there's classwork, there's a whole thing that's happening within the interface. But everything that we're doing is allocated a date. So if you want to be having any classes, then there's got to be a calendar that's attached to it. And because we interchanging between documents, spreadsheets, possibly assessments, possibly as well, we also looking at the storage part of Google Classroom. So when you look at it, when you look at Google Classroom in full, what you are actually looking at is the interface for teaching and learning, the calendar for all your planning, and lastly, the storage for all the activities that are happening. Right.
Hello, Matapelo.
Hello.
I'm sorry to disturb. Is it possible to stop sharing and share again? The screen is a bit small.
Okay. No, it's fine because I was moving out of this sharing mode. Right. So now I have stopped sharing and I am going to be moving into my classroom so that we have a proper overview of this classroom that we're talking about. Right. Okay. So what you're currently seeing is a Google Classroom, but let me just go back a bit. So we agreed last week that you obviously go to Google Education, and the first thing that you want to do is to sign in to your Google Classroom, right? And then when you click on sign in, you will use your login details. And in this instance, I'm going to use my private account to sign in. So from a teacher view, when you sign in, we spoke about last week the fact that you have your plus sign here on the right-hand side, and this plus sign here is meant for you joining or creating a classroom. And obviously, when you're a teacher, you are creating a classroom, right? So the minute you've created your classroom, I'm just going to open a classroom that's already created. You are going to have, now I am looking at this classroom and it's missing a tab. So let me just go back a bit and see where the problem is. Right. So when you go into a classroom, the first tab that you have open is your stream tab. And we had a deeper conversation around what happens in stream. And we spoke about that in stream, you have all your news feed. So it works more like your social media stream, where every activity that happens in the classroom appears in the stream. We also spoke about that the stream is a good place to have all your classroom announcements. So if you want to share something in particular, then this is the best place to upload. We spoke about the classwork tab, and we said in a classwork, this is actually the main tab where you create your assignments, you create your quizzes. If you have particular questions that you would like learners to respond to and you're looking to grade, this is a perfect place for you to start creating. And then you also share your PDF materials that you would like your learners to have a look, your pre-reading materials. And if you would like to reuse any of your documents created, you have the option to do that as well. What you also have in the classroom space is the calendar, and I think I spoke about this in particular earlier, the fact that everything that you create within your classwork has a submission date, so you have that option of including that, and everything that you have allocated a submission date will appear under the Google Calendar. We spoke briefly as well about the class drive. Sorry about that. We spoke briefly as well about the class drive, and we spoke about how everything that you share in terms of the classwork then gets saved and stored into the class drive so that you as a teacher has got easy access to each of the learner work that is submitted. We also spoke about the People tab, and spoke that the People tab has got two options in it. The first option is the student options, and this is where you add your student by clicking the plus sign. And then we spoke about that there's an invitation link right there at the bottom. So if you were to share the link, then the learners would have access to the class as well. However, you also have the option of typing the learner email addresses, and then you click on invite, and then the learners will get the invitation to the class. We also said that there's the option of collaboration between teachers. So in the event that you're teaching the very same subject, you can add a teacher if they are in the same domain, and I would like to re-emphasize this. So all your invites need to go to the people in the same domain, but I think we'll touch on this more a bit later. So you can invite your teachers via email and ask them that you'd like to spend some time and talk on a particular issue, or you'd like some insight on a particular issue. And then we said we'd spend some time today looking at the grading bit of the tabs because it's closely related to classwork. So for today's training session, we're going to focus mainly on these two tabs, which is classwork and grades, so that we see how when you're using these two, you can share your classwork and be able to grade and see an overview of what the grades look like. We also spoke about the interface here at the top, where we said you can get the code to the class. So if learners were to copy this code, and then if they were to log in, so I'm going to attempt doing this even though it's opened in two platforms. If they were to copy this code, then they would be able to click on the plus sign, join a classroom, and if they were asked to join a classroom using a code, you see the option is there. They would need to Control V and then join the class. So I don't have access to this particular class because I'm using the same browser, and I suspected that would be the case. But this was just a demo on how a learner would then have access to a class using the code. And I think we'll also touch a bit on why I wasn't able to access, or why most of us weren't able to access the class last week with the code that we shared with you. So for this demonstration purpose, I think I'm going to add there. In fact, I'm going to share that on the left-hand side, we also spoke about any upcoming events. Sorry about that. On the left-hand side under upcoming, this is where all your notifications for assessments that have been given to you. So you'll have sort of reminders here about work that's been allocated, just to make sure that you don't forget any of the work that you are meant to submit. So yeah, I'm going to end here in terms of the recap of what we touched on last week. And then I'm going to hand over to my colleague Uhlengiwe, who will take us through the Classwork tab and the Grades tab in a bit more detail, so that we have insight on how that actually works within a classroom environment. And I need to say that the sharing of screen will be interchanged between myself and Hlengi, so that we have both the learner view and the teacher view, and that we're not left in the dark in terms of how the platforms works in both ways. So I'm going to stop sharing and then ask my colleague Uhlengi to take over.
Thank you so much, Matsapelo. I'm now sharing my screen. May I please remind all participants to turn off their videos. Right, this is our classroom. Matsapelo has already explained these different tabs: stream, classwork, people, and grades. So I'm going to start with the classwork, because classwork is actually your main tab. It's your classroom, like your physical classroom. That's where you teach. That is where you communicate with your students. That is where you share work with your students. That is where your students submit and access the work that has been shared with them. Right. Now, like you know, in a physical school, you enroll your students at the beginning of the year and you are assigned your classes. So same thing applies here in this online space. What you do in the classroom, who has access? It's the learners whom you have enrolled in the Google Classroom. Right, so in the classwork, we have this very important tab, which is called Create. I will click on Create. When you click on Create, you have a number of options. You can create assignments right from the space Google Classroom. You can create your quiz assignment. You can facilitate a question in the class, so you can have like a class discussion, or you can assign students say, a group of specific students to actually work on that specific questions. And then you can share materials here with your students. Perhaps if you want to use a flip classroom teaching strategy, where you first share the materials with the students before you unpack the topic. So you can click on this one to upload the materials. It can be in a form of a presentation, a document, or a link, or a video, right? You can reuse your post and edit them as you want. And then topic, you can create different topics, which is very useful. So before you start creating your assignment or your quiz or anything that you want to create, it's best to have a topic, or it's best to take that particular work within a topic. Remember when Matapelo, when she started, she shared these she shared these very important platform and spaces which are integrated within the classroom, which is your Google Calendar and the Class Drive folder, which is really amazing, because whatever you create in this classroom, it automatically gets saved in the Class Drive folder, which is your Google Drive. I will show you that later on, right? So for the sake of the session, we won't be able to explore all of these, but I'm going to take you through on how to create a quiz assignment. Okay, so let's get started. So you click on create a quiz assignment, right? The title of the quiz, let's say it's gonna be SchoolNet info. And then the instruction, this is optional. You don't have to, if you don't have any instructions, you can leave it blank. It's not a problem. Choose, okay, choose applicable answer, right? Then you go straight to your quiz, which takes you straight to Google Forms. Right, and then you can have your description here, whatever you want as an information. I'm not going to write anything, it's optional. And then you go to your questions, right? The first question, right, before you go to your questions, if you click here, you have options. You can choose to have multiple choice, or a multiple choice grid, which is across. Yeah, so you can decide which option you want to go for. And if you want to upload a file, you can select file upload as well. Then students can have that option of uploading a file, maybe relating to the question, right? So I'm going to stick with the multiple choice option, right? Then I type in my questions. It is best to first prepare your quiz in terms of having the questions at hand, so that it's going to be quick. So my first question, how old is SchoolNet? Right. Is it 15 years? Second option, 10 years, or 24 years. Right. Now, this option is available because we have selected a quiz. Okay. Normally, you wouldn't find if you're creating a normal Google form. So I would select answer key. The moment I select answer key, now I have an option to allocate allocate marks. So I would say this is gonna be like 5 marks, and I then select the correct answer for the question, so that when learners respond, Google grade the learner. Right, so the correct answer here is 24 years. And then I can say, I can say I want my student to receive feedback. If it is an incorrect answer, what feedback should they get? So it's gonna be try again. Right, if it's a correct answer, it's gonna be a well done. Right. Then I click on save. Now here you can see I have an option to perhaps add a link. Maybe that will guide or that will provide more information about the answer, or a video which is relevant to the question. Then I click on save. Right. Then this is done. Right. Next question. I have 2 options here. If my questions follow the same format, I can duplicate the question and only change my content. Or if it's different, then I can click on add question. In this case, it's going to take similar format. So I'll say duplicate. Then my second question is, where is SchoolNet head office? Right, and then I can simply change this. Is it in Zulu, Natal, or is it in Ramfontein? Where? Okay, what's another option? It's in Free State. Right. Answer key, right? And then the correct answer is Braamfontein. If I'm happy with these or I want different feedback, I can edit. Okay, so this time I don't want a well done, I want super. Okay, then I click on save. And I can leave the try again, then done. Right, so let's have the last question. I duplicate again. Last question is, who is the project's leader? Okay, is it MTB, which is Matapelo, or is it P Mavunda, or is it Z Mbulao Zodumo? Right, then I go to answer. Then the correct answer is Pindile. I'm happy with the points, and I'm happy with these 5 points. If you want, you can. It does. You can change to have like, maybe for this one it's 10, and done. Okay, Then you can mark these as required questions so that your students are not able to submit without answering. So you force them to answer the questions. So you can do the same with all your questions. Right. Right. So it's done. If I want to, I have two options here. I can invite my learners from here. Queen, these are my students. Right. And I click on send. Right, so that is one option. Now I go back to my classwork. My second option is to assign my students from the class. Okay, so I assign, as you can see, it's assigning them this quiz. Once it's done, they would receive, my learners would receive an email that they are assigned with an assignment, and there would be, there was going to be a link which directs them to complete the quiz. Either way, so if I've done the dual, like inviting them from the Google form, so it means they would receive two communication, which is from the Google form as well as another communication from the class. But please note this, they need to join the class first before they are able to participate in any assigned activities or any communication that you send to them. Right, so that is the first one, where you create a quiz. The second one, it's all right, with the assignment, with the assignment, you can set up an assignment which you can schedule for learners to do maybe in a week's time or the following day. You decide when you want your students to actually do that particular assignment, but you can start preparing the assignment anytime. I'm not going to demonstrate that one. Right. Now, is it? No, I want to demonstrate this one. Okay. Right. With the assignment, let's say the title of the assignment is, what's going to be our title this time? Let's say, if anyone can give me a title, quick title. Let's work together with this one. Just call a title and we're going to go with that. Are you with me?
Maybe the animal kingdom.
Okay, there you go. Super. Animal kingdom. Right, animal kingdom, and then you can have the instructions here. Whatever is, it's very important here to have your instructions which guide your learners on how they would proceed in completing the assignment. Okay. Right. Whatever you want to have there, and then you click on create. Wonderful. Now, when you click on create, you have options here, whether you want your students to, whether you're creating the assignment using Google Doc, and when you are using Google Doc, there are different options as well here, where learners can collaborate in that particular document, or it is a document that you want your students to view, or it is a document that you want to assign to individual students. And then you have an option of a Google slide, or sheets. Maybe it's a budget of something and you want them to work on a spreadsheet, so you can create it using a spreadsheet, or you want them to answer using a spreadsheet, so you can create using sheets, a drawing, or a form, of which we've already demonstrated a form. Now, in this case, for the purpose of our demo, I'm going to create docs, right? Right, the moment I click on docs, this document becomes available in my class drive. So it's already there. Let's say we said Animal Kingdom. Okay, so I would say paste your favorite, okay, paste big 5 photographs, right? Done, eh? And then I have my title here, Animal Kingdom. This time I'm not going to share here, but I go back to my class and I assign my students. Then I click, like I've mentioned earlier on, you can schedule this assignment, or you can assign it right away. Matapelo, Queen, and Pindi, I'm assuming you're completing that quiz that I have shared, at least one person, so that we can demonstrate grading and everything.
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
Wonderful, clever students. Right, so I have assigned 2 assignments here, the Animal Kingdom assignment, as well as the quiz, which is SchoolNet Info quiz. Right, so in terms of the topic, it's very easy. You click on topic. Maybe you can say first term. That's your topic. In this topic, under this topic, you are going to add subtopics, which will go under your first term main topic. Then I'll click on add. Right, I can organize my topics as I like. As you can see, now I have my first term here as my topic, right? And I can reorganize my topics as I want to. All right. Now, let us go back to SchoolNet Info, the assignment. I've assigned this assignment to 5 students, and I can see whether, I can see if there are any students who have submitted. Right now, there is no one who have submitted this assignment. Let's check Animal Kingdom. It's too soon. As you can see, assigned, it's 5, 10 in, none of them. So I'm hoping that
Ma'am, please refresh. I've completed one.
oh, okay. Right, so let us refresh. There you go. So let's go to SchoolNet Info. There you go. Right, now I can see that one student has submitted. Right, I have the student, Quintress. Right, now with this type of assignment, one would wish that it will automatically mark, provide feedback, instant feedback to students, and then automatically grade the student. but it's not the case. Yes, it does mark the work, and it does provide instant feedback in terms of the score for students, as well as the feedback, that automated feedback that you have set when you were when you were setting your quiz. However, you still need to manually mark to ensure that it is 100% accurate, right? So you go to your Google Forms, right? From your Google Forms, you go to your back end. As we can see that we have 2 responses. And from these 2 responses, you want to see individual responses. Okay, here is another thing which is very important to take note. Each time when you set your assignments or your let me just say, each time when you set your assessment, it is important to include the name of the learner. As you can see here, it's showing the email address, because from my settings, I have requested that I want to collect the email addresses. However, in a case where that setting is not activated, you won't be able to see who has responded. So it's either you activate that option of receiving or collecting emails, or before you set your questions, you have you have like you have a section where you ask learner particulars like name and surname, or whatever details you need to identify the learner. So in this case, this is Matapelo. I see that Matapelo got 10 out of 15. She didn't get the last one right. So I go back to my class and I go to, right, at the moment, I'm still going to refresh because it's not showing Matapelo as a student who have submitted. So if this was Matapelo, okay, let's do it. Let's do this correctly. Now let's go to the next learner, which is Queen. Queen's she also got 10 out of 20. So as a teacher, I would go to Queen, and then I would grade her 20. So she got 20 out of 100. It's not out of 100. Why is it saying 100? It's out of 50. But she got 20. I'm not sure. Then as soon as you grade Quintress, you then click return. When you click return, Quintress is going to receive an email with this score, as well as when she goes to the class, she would see this 20 out of 100. In fact, I can actually, okay, it's out of 50 here. There you go. 8. Right, that's now accurate. Right now, when I click return, and then I'm now sending this score to Queen, click return. Then she would receive it via email, as well as in her classwork, she would receive this. Okay. Matapelo, she also scored 20 out of 50. Then I will click return. Right. Matapelo, do you want to share your screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please do show us how it reflects on your side as a student.
All right, I'll do so.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen and allow Matapelo to share her screen.
Right, so I have now shared my screen, and you would note that all the assignments are coming from the email that say SchoolNet Tutor, and I have received quite a number of assignments, and I will open the 7B one, and I hope it's the one that was sent now. So when I open the assignment, you will see that right there is the link to the quiz that ma'am shared. And when I open it, because I had already responded, it will say you've already responded and I've been graded. So unfortunately, I can't demo this. Let me see if
Do you want to, I was hoping you would click on view score.
Okay, let me view score. Right, there it is. So you would see that my assignment has been graded and all, and I can see that I've got one question wrong. So I'm going to close that and close the assignment. And then I'm going to go back to my emails. And then I'm going to open the second assignment. I'll open the second assignment, which was Animal Kingdom. I had already submitted the assignment, but what I'm going to show now is I'm going to show the actual document that ma'am shared with me. And then it says paste the big 5 photographs. But you will note that when I click on it, it's still got that option that says request edit access. So I don't have editing rights to the document, but what I have done is I then went on the right-hand side where it says your work. There was an option there that said, let me just unsubmit because I think that will help us. Right. And I will just close that and close that. Right. So because I can't edit here, what I did is I said create. You'll see that I, as a student, have similar options of, for creation as ma'am. So in this instance, I've been asked to paste the big 5 image. So because I can't edit what I've done, what I'll do is I will upload something that's on my drive, and then I'll insert. And sometimes I might have a video that speaks to the big 5. So I'll copy and I'll add a link and I'll paste it there. And I'll add the link and then I'll say return. And then I'll turn it in. So whatever it is that I'm turning in, then ma'am on the other side will have access to it. And then here I made a side note that says, ma'am, I saw that I did not have editing rights to the document, so I've attached the request. I hope it will work. Then ma'am will probably respond to this as well directly and let me know what I need to do moving forward.
Right.
Right, so I'm now going to stop sharing and allow ma'am to take over.
Thanks so much, Matapelo. I'm now sharing my screen. Right. Tell me if you can see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that confirmation. Right. As you can see from my screen, under my assignment Animal Kingdom, I can see 2 attachments from Matapelo that she has submitted. I can also see the message that she has sent through. Right, so now I want to mark, I want to mark Matapelo's work, so I can click on the task. This is really amazing. Right, I can click on the task. Here is Matapelo's submission, right? I can grade her right here. Okay. Now I need to have a rubric. When I create my assignment, I also have an option to create a rubric that will go together with the assignment, which the learner will see before attempting an assignment. Right, but that is a topic of another time. Right, now I'm grading my Tapelo using or guided by the rubric. So I would say she got 95%. And what is lovely here, 95 out of 100. What I can do here as well is to actually comment on the work that Matapelo has created. How do I do that? So I highlight the area. If this was text, I was going to highlight parts of the text where I want to make comments. So I click on that particular text or that particular part of work which I want to comment on, and I would write in my comment. Say, please label your drawing, or it would have been great. It would have been great if you have labeled your photograph. Then I sent the comment. The next thing which is fantastic here, when I have sent when I've made the comment, I have an option to bank the comment, to save it or to keep it in my records. That this is the comment I made to Matapelo's work. So I would say add to comment bank, and then I'll click on add. Now it's added to my bank. Right, so I can click on return to submit to Matapelo, right? I sent to Matapelo. Number 2, I can go to view this work in my drive. This is my drive, and in my drive, I have a folder which I did not create. It's automatically created as soon as I create a class. So I have this classroom folder, and I would have in the classroom folder, I would have folders of all my classes I have created. Right now, I only have one class in this classroom. When I open this class, it automatically creates all the folders. As you can see, I have the Animal Kingdom assignment folder. I have the folders I've created before this session, baby animals, I have grammar, all of them are here. Now let me go to Animal Kingdom. There you go. Now, when Matapelo uploads something or when my learner uploads something, it automatically gets saved here in this folder, which is really amazing. So in terms of learner portfolio, they are here. And if you want to, as a teacher, you can organize these files according to each learner. All right. Let's go to our original class and now go to grades. Look at that. Now, with the grades, mine is called grades. Matapelo's one is called marks. That is the most updated name. I haven't updated my system. That's why I still have grades. So those who see grades, it's because they haven't updated their system. The new name is marks now, right? So here, as much as I manually added the scores, but look at that. I can see each learner progress. This is one of the assignments, she got 95, and the other assignment, she got 20, 45. Already, I have my mark book here, a digital mark book, kind of. And it's showing the class average. As soon as other students will submit their work and I grade their work, I would have the class average, and I will be able to identify which topic or which topic requires more attention. Let me pause here. Matapelo, is there anything I am leaving out? Because I want to allow questions.
I was also looking at the time, and I think that we've covered the parts that we had said we'd cover initially. So perhaps let's delve into the other part of the session quickly so that we allow enough time for questions.
Super. Right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and you would proceed with the last part of the presentation.
Thank you very much, Lindy. Right. So we have gone back to our slides, and we're going to quickly look through the questions that we were asked last session, and they were relating to the domains, or rather it was questions around why some people were not able to access the class that we had shared. So the first thing that a school has to do before they have access to the classroom environment that we just shared with you is that they need to have their domains registered. And we'd advise that schools do that with eSchools Network because they do this at no fee. There's just an annual fee of 200 Rand for administration or for setup. And that's about it in terms of the domain registration. Right, that's the first part. The second part is that after you've registered your domain, you need to select a web hosting site. Let me just say that eSchools Network does offer this as well, but there's a range of other web hosting sites that are available. And where once you've selected your hosting site, it's important that you then set your settings, or the IT team at the school will need to set their MX records, their domain name records, or the mail server, the mail exchange server, to receive email from Gmail. So it's important that it's set to receive email from Gmail, because if you set it to receive Microsoft, then it blocks Gmail. So the school needs to decide which platform it is they want to use. And in the event they want to use Gmail, it's important that their MS records need to point that they'll be using the Gmail mail exchange, right? Immediately after that, what one needs to do is sign your school up for the G Suite education package. So the packages are different, and I am quickly going to go through what the current offering is and what the limitations are. So please bear with me. The screen that's currently showing on this, the screen currently is showing quite a bit of information, but I'm just going to quickly try and explain what this information means. So you'll see that the first column on the left speaks to what the students have access to. And the one in the middle speaks to what teachers have access to. And the last one speaks to whether or not the two can communicate or can collaborate in a G Suite environment. Right, so the first one is the G Suite for Education platform, or non-profit platform. And this is a free offering for schools that are disadvantaged. So if a learner has got access to this free G Suite offering, and then a teacher has got the very same offering, then the two are able to communicate. So teachers will then be able to invite learners into their classroom. They'll be able to collaborate like Hlengi and I were doing now. So once you have these two packages, and I think this is the ideal situation for all our schools, right? The second option is the G Suite Basic Business or Enterprise. So this is the paid for service. So if you have a learner who's using this paid for service, and as a teacher who's using the very same paid for service, then the classes are able to interact, provided that, in fact, for the first two options, provided that the settings are set that there's open or there's exchange of collaboration available. And then the third option is when the learner is using the not-for-profit or the free offering and the business offering, and the teacher is using the business offering, then there's no collaboration that can happen between the two. So if a learner has access to the free option of G Suite and the teacher has got access to the business, those two accounts will not be able to collaborate. And then the fourth one is if the learner has got access to the basic paid for account and the teacher is using the not paid for account, then in that case, the platforms are not set the same, so they won't be able to collaborate, right? So if a learner is using a personal Gmail account, so if I'm using matapelo, matapelo.m@gmail.com, and my teacher is using a paid for offering, then there can be collaboration that happens between the two accounts, provided again that the IT team does the settings sets the settings such that external bodies are able to communicate. So you are able to communicate, but the settings need to be tweaked a bit. Sorry. And the final one is where a learner is using a personal account and a teacher is also using a personal account, and there's no school involved, then the two accounts are able to collaborate and interact like Hlengi and myself were doing now. So you'll see that there's limitations depending on which account you use. So it's important to be aware before you try to set up. And I must say the ideal situation, like I was saying, is if our schools are able to register themselves and make sure that they create their learners accounts. In that way, the environment is paved and clear and everybody's able to communicate. And in the event where the school is really delaying and you really want to try and implement this, what you can do is you can work with the learner parents. And then what you can do is ask them to create email accounts for their learners. And then what will happen is that you as a teacher can use your personal email account, and then you can create your classroom, invite all your learners using their personal email addresses, and then you can interact from there on. I think it's not the safest of environments because you're not always going to be able to check which learner is doing what, and you won't be able to check that all the accounts that are signed into the classroom are actually the accounts that you want attached to your classroom. So it's a bit tricky, but if you want to get moving and you know that your learners have the capacity to do so and the parents are willing to open their personal accounts, I'd say it's the best way to start. So I'm now going to stop sharing because this calls for the end of our session. And we're going to allow for some interaction between us and yourselves so that we don't end the session without actually having an open discussion about what we've just shared. So yeah, I've stopped sharing. Can I just ask that anybody who has a question, please feel free to ask the question so that we have a bit of interaction in the session.